Recently, Tim and I, we just got done working with one of our SP clients, and they had touched on something that I wanted to make a video about for the longest, but it completely slipped my mind. But before I get into today's video, I want to let you guys know that Tim and I will be hosting a free Zoom webinar, I believe October 7th at 5 p.m. Eastern United States time. So whatever that time frame equals to wherever you're at in the world on Monday, most likely. If the time changes, you'll know in the description because I'll change it or I'll make another video about it before then. But feel free to join, ask us whatever questions you have about SP or other topics or whatever the case may be. Should be a lot of fun. Also too, if you guys would like to work with me and Tim, our SP questionnaire is in the description below in all of our videos. So fill out that questionnaire to see if you will be a good fit to join either our immersive coaching one-on-one or our SP mastermind program. But guys, I want to be honest with you before I get into the video. With our SP questionnaire, please do not fill out the questionnaire if you know you have no intent of actually joining and working with Tim and I. Because Tim and I will give you a free consultation, but the consultation will only be about 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, and you're not going to get the value that you actually need just by talking to us one time, especially for 15 to 20 minutes. You're really not going to get any value in that time frame. In order to really get grounded in this SP stuff, contrary to what most coaches say, you're going to need multiple sessions with a coach. It's not just get affirmations and talk about affirmations, 5 affirmations, or just visualize once or twice and you're gonna get what you want. This SP stuff is very nuanced. So like I said, if you guys are looking to actually work with Tim and I and to pay for coaching, then I would suggest you fill out the SP questionnaire. But if you're not and you're just looking for a free consultation, there literally is no point in you filling out the questionnaire because it's no point. It's not gonna go far. You're not gonna really get any value from just talking to us or working with us one time, or anybody else for that matter. Now, on to today's video. Tim and I recently met with our SP client, and the SP client had made a statement and said something along the lines of, I'm really glad I got to work with you guys, and I know that this is gonna sound misogynistic. He said it something along the lines of that. He said, I know this is gonna sound misogynistic, but I wanted to work with you guys because you guys were men. And this is something that I wanted to touch on months ago, but completely forgot about it. I want everybody to understand that you might not realize it, and this is no shot at the female content creators out there. All of you guys are needed. All of you have your space in this community. There's enough for all of us. I wish all of you well, even if I don't agree with how you are portraying the message of the law of assumption, etc. Because also too, I understand that whatever I wish on other people, I'm actually wishing for myself. So I would never wish any content creator, male or female, bad in this business. I want everybody to succeed. But I think something that most people have not thought about is getting this information, is specifically when it comes to manifesting a specific person or romantic relationship, new or old, getting this information from the male perspective is probably very different than getting this information from the female perspective. And again, this is no shot at any female content creator, because this person that the client that said this to me and Tim, he said it himself. He was like, I don't want to sound misogynistic. And I'm thinking to myself, no, you don't sound misogynistic. I know exactly what you mean, but we live in an era, a generation now where when you say this kind of stuff, the word misogyny is always thrown out along with other terms, you know, that I've talked about in my past videos. I totally understood what he meant because, I mean, let's be frank, a lot of the popular content creators around this topic, especially talking about manifesting a specific person, a lot of these content creators, a lot of people are getting their advice, in my opinion, from female content creators. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I want to say to specifically the women out there, if you've only gone to women coaches to try to get advice on manifesting a specific person and to get advice in dealing with men in particular, I recommend that you highly consider maybe going to a male coach. It doesn't have to be myself, it doesn't have to be Tim, but maybe consider going to a male coach to get that male perspective, because when it comes to relationships and dealing with the ins and outs and the intricacies of dealing with the masculine and feminine energy, which most coaches, in my opinion, don't talk about this in the manifesting community, and they don't understand it, and they don't understand that that dynamic is part of what makes up the law of assumption, law of attraction work. And Tim and I, we touch on this when we work with people one-on-one. You know, I think it's important to go to a man to get that advice, especially if you're a woman, because women tend to go to other women on advice about men instead of going to men on advice about men. And men, nobody understands men better than other men. So ladies, I want you guys to understand something. we could help you break down the dichotomy of whatever you're going through with your SP, new or old, in a way that some female coaches probably can't, because they're only going to talk to you and use law of assumption language like, oh, you just got to live in the end. Oh, you just got. But when you're manifesting somebody specific, these conversations are so nuanced. And again, the masculine and feminine dynamic, Tim and I can pinpoint a lot of times what your boyfriend or your ex-husband or whoever was probably thinking when y'all were going through the situation that y'all were going through. Tim and I are very good at breaking down and dissecting these types of situations and scenarios and say, yeah, your husband was probably thinking this. He wished you would have did this. He wished you would have said this, because Tim and I are men. So we understand men because we were born men. We've been around men. Most of our friends are men. You know what I mean? Like, we know how men think and operate in all of the above. Not saying we don't have women friends or whatever the case may be, but we know how men think. Like I said, I noticed a lot of women, they go to other women to get advice about men instead of going to the source, going to men to get advice about men and how they should deal with a situation. And a lot of times I notice women lead other women down the wrong path when dealing with men, because a lot of times I notice is women, you guys will take your insecurities about men, your traumas about men and relationships, and you will throw those traumas and insecurities on your friends in the disguise of advice. And I think that is very dangerous. And I think a lot of people don't realize that this has happened to them. You know, you will go to your friends for advice on how to deal with a guy or to deal with the guys in your life, and your friends will tell you advice, and you have no clue that they're giving you bitter, toxic advice from a place of lack, from a place of hurt, from a place of unforgiveness, from a place of not understanding the law totally. And what ends up happening is that perpetuates and that worsens all of your romantic relationships, because you continue to go to, you know, people who quite frankly are unhealed and hurt, and to ask for guidance from them. And you never want to do that. So I make this video, and this video is for men too. This video is not just for women. This video is for men too. Everything that I'm saying, it applies to men. Men, if you've only gone to men for advice, I highly consider you going to other women for advice on dealing with women. But the thing is some of you've probably already done that. You've probably gone to some of these SP coaches who are women talking about your situation, about your girlfriend or your wife or whatever. But even then, they still probably didn't give you advice that you could actually apply in the 3D in a way that is actually effective and that's actually gonna be life-changing. And so again, this goes back to my original point to start this video. The male perspective on manifesting a specific person, especially the way Tim and I give it, it's very different. And this is why people get great results when they talk to Tim and I, is because we help you understand on a worldly level of what you're going through right now. We help you understand on a worldly level why you broke up with your person. We help you understand on a worldly level why the patterns and all of that type of stuff is happening. And we help you understand on a worldly level what you probably have to do to help get them back. And again, I say this is no shot to all of the female content creators out there. You know, keep doing your thing. I wish all of you well. But a lot of people that have watched my videos in the past, and people have messaged me and they said, it seems that this space is dominated by the female content creators, which is the female opinion, which we need. However, those are the ones, if you're only going to people who give that kind of viewpoint from that perspective, you're not gonna get the masculine energy dynamic of it. And that is something that I've heard of people in the past tell me and tell a lot, is I like the fact that you guys are men. I like the masculine dynamic you create. I like the energy you have of taking action, because that's something I talked about in my past videos, is how a lot of people don't take action on sending a text message or trying to get in touch with their SP potentially, or maybe apologizing and all of the above, when that is something that they should highly consider. Now, obviously this depends on the type of situation that they were in, but fellas, I also think this is an area where you could be helped tremendously as well from working with a male, or especially somebody like Tim and I, because again, this LOA stuff is basically preached from a position of, you know, just sit back and wait. You don't have to lift a finger, which can be true in some instances, but in a lot of instances it's not. And what Tim and I, we talk about a lot of times, and what is important, especially for men to do when you're in the position of pursuing a relationship with a new SP or an old SP, sometimes as a man, it's gonna be up to you to make the first move and take the action, because by nature, that's what men do. By nature, men are supposed to lead in that respectful regard. A lot of times what you don't realize is if you're in an SP situation with a woman, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of women are actually sitting back being passive waiting for you to actually reach out and to make the first move and to apologize or to send a text or whatever the case may be. Because from talking to a lot of women over the years, women don't really want to take action. Women don't want to be the initiators in relationships. Women just, they don't want to do that type of stuff. And again, this is the type of stuff that people in the LOA community, particularly coaches, they don't touch on. They just tell you, oh, all you got to do is live in the end. All you got to do is, you don't have to lift the finger, like Neville Goddard said. But it sounds good. I understand the titles sound good. I understand that thought process sounds good. But for most people, it's not going to work that way. You have to understand the nuanced details of how men and women think on a biological level since the beginning of time. You have to understand how men and women think. That masculine-feminine dynamic is very real. No matter how you want to slice it, it is very real, and it is something that is missing from many coaches, even dating coaches that have nothing to do with LOA. It's just something that is missing, but that masculine, feminine, that yin-yang dynamic is there. It is there in the universe, that male-female dynamic, and they both have their strengths and they both have their weaknesses. That's why they complement each other so perfectly. And again, this is why Tim and I, we help men and women understand their role in something, whether it's from the feminine perspective or from the masculine perspective. We help men realize, yo, you should have been taking action here. You messed up here. This is where you need to grow as a man. You should have been doing this as a man. And we also can help women say, well, as a woman, you probably shouldn't have did this because you were probably too masculine. You were in your masculine energy and you were chasing him away. And as you know, when you're in your masculine energy, that type of energy repels somebody who's already naturally in their masculine energy. I mean, this type of stuff goes deep. For anybody that has been watching my content for a while now, you know I touch base on this stuff. And this is why I'm making this video, because like I said, this SP person that we worked with, it reminded me, I just wanted to hop on here and tell you guys, like, the male perspective in this community is needed. The male perspective for law of attraction, law of assumption is 100% needed in this space. And this is just another perfect example of Tim and I getting great results to another person because of the male perspective that they were lacking. And guess what? This person was able to get great results with talking to Tim and I. Did this person resolve their SP situation? No, not at the moment. But that doesn't mean that they didn't walk away with a clearer head and a clearer understanding of what they need to do going forward. And that's part of the big reason coaching is important, is because not to get your SP overnight, but to help you guys more steadily, more stably understand what you have to do to get to the point to where they are going to come back. And then help you understand what you must do once they come back, because those are two different demons that you have to deal with. You're dealing with the demon of them being gone right now because they're not in your life, but then what are you going to do when your SP pops back up out of nowhere and now you actually have to deal with them being there in reality? How are you going to react? Is the old man, as Neville would say, is the old man or the old woman going to show back up? No, the old man or old woman shouldn't show back up if you've actually been doing the work. And again, this is what Tim and I have helped this SP client with, and this is what we are looking to help tons of men and tons of women with. Again, no shot at no content creator, whether you are male or female. We all are needed in this space. But I just wanted to make this video to tell you, if you have not yet worked with a male content creator, I highly, highly consider it, because you will most likely get a very different viewpoint on how you should approach the law of attraction and the law of assumption.